Well, hello, it's Patrick Nairn, and I have a quick question for you. And that is, have you ever finished a Zoom call, a podcast meeting, or a live session and you thought to yourself, I know my stuff. I really do. But I don't really think they felt it. I don't think that I communicated that I'm an expert to my audience. Now, if you can say yes to that, I want to say you're not the only one. You're not the only person who could, in fact, say yes to that. And a lot of coaches really struggle with this. A lot of very experienced coaches and experts, they have the knowledge and they have years of client results, have a perfect message, one that really matters and one that should land with the audience because, it's been crafted and cared for. But when they put that message across, especially when they're on camera, it just leaves them feeling like there's something missing. I wanted to bring more value to my audience, and I know I just didn't deliver on that occasion. Has that ever happened to you before? I know that can feel really quite frustrating. I know that it's not something that you intended. Not only do you have that something important to say, but within your heart you may never ever get a chance to meet those people again, to speak in front of that audience again. And so those people may never ever experience you at your best. You know, if your audiences don't get an opportunity to really fully feel, to experience your impact and your presence, your message can just fall flat. And many of the coaches that I speak to, they just say, I don't really want to do this live thing anymore, Patrick, because I just feel so deflated when I say anything that I'm saying on live, because I know inside me I can deliver more. I know it, I feel it. But yet, rather than growing towards speaking to their audiences live and having a real, genuine impact, they shrink away and do another post, another sequence of posts, and they want to learn another course on how they can just find that one hack that is going to help them. Now, if like me, you see this all the time, you might be thinking, why are there so many talented, especially within our female coaching community, so many brilliant coaches with years of experience and so many great systems and real, true expertise. They have this wonderful big heart and a genuine desire to help. But when they get on camera, whether it's a podcast, whether it's live or on someone's stage, something inside just shifts. They just feel that shift and everything that they had in terms of their real courage to step up. It just feels like it didn't quite deliver on that occasion. They're tired of it. If that's you, I'm sure you are also tired of that experience. Somehow they just sound a little bit more cautious, a little bit more hesitant. They may just simply not look as polished or as confident as they really could be when they are in front of, say, friends and family, and they really bring it then. They can feel that energy, but somehow the minute the camera goes, all of that energy, that aliveness, that them just disappears. And the truth is really, this isn't all about confidence just by itself, because sometimes we bottle this up and we say, oh, I'm just not that confident on camera. But it's not really just about confidence. You're not the only one who goes through this. And when I say that, what I mean is so many coaches go through this and they almost feel like they want to give up. They just want to go back and do that thing that's more familiar. And the reality is that it can be fixed by just learning how to show up differently. In reality, when they look around and they tell me about what's going on for them and they contact me and say, Patrick, how do you make this look so easy? And I say, well, I don't think I make it look easy. I'm just trying to be a bit more me. I'm just trying to relax and not copy anyone else. I'm just trying to let my natural self roll out on camera. And then they said, just one thing, Patrick, I wish you would smile more. And I say, I do, I try, believe me, I try. But for them, the smile is a little bit easier, but they're not being themselves. And so what happened is their lighting just doesn't really pop. You know, they know that they've seen lighting before, and they say that lighting just pops. Oh, look at the colors. It looks so real, so natural. And maybe it's just that the camera angle isn't right. You know, the angle that is much more natural when we're looking at a face directly straight on, that's what we're used to. That's what feels more natural, right? And so when the camera angle isn't that natural angle, it leaves us feeling, well, something's just not quite right. Maybe you're using a wide angle lens, which was intended to really capture your background and to kind of put you in the center in a nice way and frame you. But sometimes the distortions of that wider angle don't really give you that look that you really deserve. Maybe your posture could be better. Maybe it's a combination of all of this, which is just taking away that energy, which you normally would have when you show up for your clients, because you're confident, you're competent, you know you can deliver. But it just does not fully match your message, and people may not feel the authority that comes from you in the way that you know it should. Listen, that does not mean you're not good enough, right? That's not what it means at all. What it means is that there are a few simple tweaks that you can make that will make a big difference. For example, just tweaking your lighting a little bit more and lifting your camera so that it's perhaps at the eye level. That can change how people experience you immediately. And the question you might be asking is, well, Patrick, why? Well, when people sort of like get this sense of looking at you eye to eye, when your face is looking like you're sat in front of them, it allows people to relax and to feel more like I'm just talking to someone on my same level. This person feels natural to talk to. It's just like sitting beside someone in your local coffee shop and having a face-to-face conversation. You're sat at the right level and it just feels natural. And in particular, when you have the angle where you're not looking sort of down at the camera and the camera is therefore looking up at you, and it shows you at this slightly distorted angle, it feels more like natural eye contact, right? And all of that is helping for you to feel a little bit more conversational, shall we say, and therefore a little bit more professional, a little bit more like a person talking to another person. And the message will also feel a little bit more directed. It feels a little bit more like two people who are just speaking to each other. It feels like you're talking to them when you're not looking away from the camera, when you're looking directly at the camera. It just lands with a bit more oomph, shall we say, and just feels right, like two people just talking to each other. Can you identify with any of that? I remember I was working with a wonderful coach. She's incredible at what she does. She's got skills and knowledge in a technique that just helps people to enjoy life better. But every time she got on screen, every time she was going to a talk, she would always have this hesitancy. She'd always feel this sense of, well, this doesn't feel right, but she would do it anyway. She'd give her best to do the talk, but then she would complain about having this greenish tone to the lighting, which left her feeling a little bit ill. She felt like the way she looked on camera was that she was unwell, and therefore being a person who helps people to feel better and to feel stronger within themselves, she didn't feel that that was landing quite right, and she just couldn't get the lighting to do what she wanted it to do. And so she felt like she was disappearing a bit. So she was shrinking back within her presentation and not being the person that she really is when you get to meet her in person. This lively, energetic person who just has the right kind of energy for helping people in the healing space. You know, she's smart. She's very articulate. She knows her stuff. She's a very clever and very capable woman. But here's the thing. She was showing up to help people, and she didn't really feel in herself like she was really helping people. And that comes across to the person who's trying to listen to you and to connect with you. But you know, the good thing, once we got a few tweaks made, we tweaked the lighting a little bit, we tweaked the framing so that she was put in the right spot, you know, height-wise in the frame, and taking up the right amount of the frame, which is really important because this is a stage. When we are in front of the camera, we should treat it like a stage. And just like a great actor, we use the stage appropriately to get the right effect that we want to give to our audience, to pull them in to our conversation. And after making those changes, she was able to hold herself in a very different space. The authority was now coming through. And the difference there, I say, was immediate. She looked more polished. You know, it wasn't just about the lighting, it was just the way that she was able to be herself. You could see that she was feeling way more confident. And most importantly, she started to just be herself on camera. And she now, funny enough, really enjoys being on camera, and she loves speaking at events now. And that's a complete opposite contrast to what she was experiencing before. And I tell you that when I see her on camera now, I can see that complete difference. And it's like the person who was always meant to be speaking to the audience is now speaking. And it just feels like she's just a natural at it. You know, people say this sometimes to speakers. They say, you're a natural. But what they don't realize is, no, the person isn't necessarily a natural. They've just had a few tweaks done to their presentation, to their kit, to their lighting, to their camera angles. And that's what helps to bring the energy out, because once they allow themselves to be themselves and they have great lighting and a great presentation, it allows the audience to relax. The guard actually just comes straight down because people know that you're polished, you're presenting as a professional, and somehow you just become way more credible because they're used to seeing professionals looking like professionals on television, in films, in narratives that we see on the media that we have today. And this all conditions our audiences to expect a certain level of presentation, to expect people to look like they are confident knowing what they're doing. And let's face it, audiences buy with confidence. They buy when they see confidence, that they feel and they experience confidence. They're much more likely to connect with the person who's making the presentation. This is why companies invest so much into advertising, and into visual advertising at that. That's why advertising is so powerful. When we polish it and present it right, and we make accurate claims and verifiable claims, then the audience can easily understand what it is that you're solving, what problem you're solving. They can visualize, they can connect with their imagination much more readily. And so, yes, it can actually help them to connect much quicker with your story. And I'm sure you've seen it before. There are adverts that we see, and they are so far away from the concept of what we imagine that product or that service to be, and we just can't connect with it. And yet when we do some simple adverts that immediately tell you what we're offering, what problem we're solving, audiences just connect so much quicker. And this, my friends, is what I wish for you, is for you to be able to get up and speak, to speak live, whether it's in person, although most of what we do is focused in the online space. And that's because I've been doing this since 2012 online, and I've learned a lot in that time. And I take all of my knowledge of teaching, both from teaching in terms of a conventional teaching position, but also that of being a corporate trainer for a number of years. And I've combined that with my knowledge of photography, having been a professional photographer. And just understanding what it is that clients want, what they experience, what they expect. And that's why I created this talk, which is called Amplify Your Live Camera Presence. Yes, amplify, turn it up, make it more powerful, more easier to hear. And in this talk, I show you why lighting matters so much. And that why the major media companies invest so much in getting studios to reflect the talent who is going to speak to their audience. And I show how a simple 2-light setup can make an immediate improvement. And that is a way of allowing people to experience you and how you deal with your clients straight away. Now, in this talk, I will always also talk to you about how to use online stages, such as the one that I'm on, how to move about on the stage and to communicate using the stage. how to do this with a podcast, whether you're guesting or hosting, and how to actually use this type of medium to really grow your business and to do it in a way that feels more natural, more effort, or with less effort, I should say, than posting alone. I'm not saying that you shouldn't post. I'm just simply trying to put into context that when you can speak directly to your audience, they can feel your confidence way more than trying to interpret what you're saying in a post. When I read posts, I often misread things. And when I read it again, I get something else. But very often, a person who is looking for a service may not take the time to reread or revisit a post. It may be a great post and they come and revisit it, but very often it's better to just say what you want to say in the tone, in the colorful way that you want to say it. Because for many coaches, people who are used to interacting with people one-to-one, most coaches, you like to speak directly to your client. And for many coaches, this is actually one of the best ways for you to get in front of not just high-ticket clients, but also those corporate clients that you want to work with. Being able to speak with people directly is a way of interacting with them and getting them to feel and experience you as a person. So you don't have to wonder at the end of that presentation, did it land the way I was hoping for it? See, if you want people to not just hear your message, but also to feel the message, which is so important, they want to experience what it is to be a part of working with you, then I would really love for you to join me when I present that talk, which is the Amplify Your Live Camera Presence, your live on-camera presence, sorry. And I want to help you how to discover that you too can get that more polished look so that you can not only sound more confident, but you can feel more confident in yourself and in a way that will help you to demonstrate your expertise in a way that you already do when you're speaking to your clients, right? I'll put the details of that event in one of the posts below this recording. But I'd really love to see you there. And you'll have full details, so don't worry if I haven't put it in this recording. You will be able to get hold of the details to attend. But what I'd like to remind you, of course, is do like this type of message. If you like what you're seeing here, then do like, comment, and subscribe, whichever of those three works for you. So let me just take you back to my original question. Have you ever finished a Zoom podcast or live session and thought, I know my stuff, but I don't think they really felt it? If that's the case, then comment me, just ME, if you really want to change that permanently. You no longer want to experience the concern that maybe I could do more and really connect more with my audience. I'm Patrick Nairn, and it's a pleasure to be able to speak to you live using the technologies that we have these days. You know, we live in a time where genuinely great things can happen if you understand how to use this technology. And I want to help you to be able to use this technology. It's a pleasure to share this time with you. And as always, I want to say this. I never take for granted the fact that you drop in and watch this message, and that hopefully I've shared something with you that's of value. That's my hope. And I want you to see this as a series that's going to build up to when I do this live talk. And it won't just be me. There'll be other speakers who will be there at this talk. But I really want to share this with you as a series that I'm going to build up to, so that when you get to the talk, you're ready to really get the most out of it. And as always, I leave you in peace. See you soon.